Hello and welcome to the Indian Classical Guitar Academy. Today we have an exercise combining the CAGED system with 3-note per string patterns. The video goes in detail about how these two approaches can be blended together. The exercise itself also lays out in a practical way all of the modes of the major scale, showing how they are connected into a logical progression. If you enjoy this kind of material, you might like to see the fretboard navigation masterclass I've created to apply this kind of material to Indian classical music, covering several approaches to fretboard navigation and improvisation. This is the new part of the Essential Techniques for Indian Guitar course that you can access as a member of the Indian Classical Guitar Academy. Thanks very much for watching and enjoy the video. Hi there, my name's Jack Jennings and I've created these exercises to help you master the A major scale. So the first exercise, I really like this one because what we're doing is sort of a combination of 3-note per string patterns and the regular caged patterns that we do. Caged patterns meaning things that sort of stay in one area of the neck at a time. So for example, if you have your regular caged shape for an A major chord, the root position would be like this. So the thing that I like about staying in one position is that it gives you a little bit more of choice in terms of the different notes that you're going to choose. Slide around that pattern a bit. It doesn't have to be always staying in exactly the same place, but I kind of feel that I'm a bit more open to choose all different notes from different parts of the register when I stay in one place, and it's more connected to a chord shape as well, so it's quite good for sort of playing a chord and then playing things around that chord shape. The other way of doing things, the 3-note per string patterns that people normally play. The thing about that 3-note per string pattern is that it actually brings you sort of into the second position of the cage system. It brings you up. And now this is really the most efficient way to play if you're just going straight through, like particularly for a kind of legato sort of playing. But the thing about that is that it tends to pull you in one direction, and if I'm playing down here, I'm much less likely to start thinking about other notes that I'm going to play higher up in the pattern. So I feel like it puts you on a bit more of a trajectory, which is great for a certain style of playing. But what I've tried to do with this exercise is actually get a bit of the efficiency from 3-note per string playing and the kind of fluidity, the consistency you get from that, but keep it in one area of the neck, keep it in one box. So that's why the pattern actually borrows one note from the lower pattern. So this note, which I would normally play on fret 7 of the G string, this D note, I'm now playing that on the 3rd fret of the B string. So when I do the 2nd string pattern, I just put that note back there. You would normally just have 2 notes on the B string, and all the other strings have 3 notes because you've got a 4th fret there on the bottom string. So you do actually have pretty much 3 notes per string. It's just that B string where you've normally only got 2 notes. So that's why I'm adding in that 3rd note there. So we end up getting this kind of pattern, and then I will use that D note again on the G string. But you get this kind of pattern. It's a little phrase built into the scale descent. So I like that kind of thing because it makes the scale sound a bit more melodic. And you can do lots of variations of that. If you've got this kind of pattern, it's really just training the fingers to move in a different way, because then you could do things like, you could play the pattern sort of starting from the top end or starting from the bottom end. At the moment we're starting from the middle. And there's tons of different things that you could do with that, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on. There's loads of variations. So it gives you a little group of notes that you can then experiment with. And there's something about the consistency of having a 3-note per string pattern that then you can move through the other strings and do it in a very you can do it in a very consistent way, because you end up getting patterns which have the same number of pick strokes per string. So yeah, that's the thing I like about this. And then you just move it through all the different shapes. So you're actually moving it through 7 different shapes. So again, it's not quite like the CAGED system, because the CAGED system you've got 5 shapes, whereas in a 3-note per string system you end up starting on every new note. So you end up having 7 different patterns. So it actually links into modes. So in a sense, what you're doing on the second pattern, when we get all the way around, we're actually sort of playing a Dorian scale. But it still sounds to us like a major scale, because we've established the A major as our home. The other patterns that we play, we still hear them in reference to the major scale, because the major scale is so strong. But in a sense, you are actually learning all of the different modal patterns. So if we shifted into a different mode, all of these same patterns would work. So you're really learning the fretboard in a very thorough way. And something else about this kind of sequence that I enjoy is that when you move it to the different patterns, you get different permutations of the phrase, meaning that it focuses on the different notes of the scale. So for example, when we play in the first pattern, this focuses on the first note, plus the 5th note, and then the 3rd, 7th, 4th, and then the root again. But then when we move to the next pattern, we get the 3rd, but we get it an octave higher, and then we get the 7th, but an octave higher, and then the 4th, the root there, the 5th there, and the 2nd there. So it just means that as you're moving it around the different positions, even if you're using a similar range of the scale, you're just getting a little bit of a different emphasis on different notes of the scale. Just because of the way the guitar's laid out, you end up getting root note and 7th. So that's another nice thing about the sequence. As you move it around, you start to vary the note choice and the emphasis a bit more as well. Now you're going to hear the exercise played twice. The first time, the tempura drone will be shifting to the different notes of the major scale. So each time you hear a new pattern, you'll be able to hear the different mode that that's representing. The second time you hear it, the drone will stay on A major for the whole duration, so then you'll hear it just in the context of different positions of an A major scale. It's a useful way to do this so your ear can perceive the difference between the modal relationships, but how they're still held within just one tonality of A major. want to start one of these courses, you can buy them individually or you can subscribe monthly to access all of them. For subscribers, there will be new content every month, including live streams where we can answer your personal questions and go into more detail about applying this material. So far we've covered Rag Yaman, Rag Bageshri, Jog, Hamsadwani, Kafi and Rag Malkons, and there's much more to come. This body of work is a culmination of the 18 years experience I have as a guitar teacher, combined with the knowledge acquired through studying the sitar directly and then adapting that material using the guitar techniques that suit this style best. To create these courses and gather the most authentic material possible, I work closely with other Indian classical musicians such as Manish Pingle and Gurdane Riot. I'd like to give a special thanks to my guru Roopa Panesar, who has guided me in the creation of these courses. Much of the material has been adapted directly from my training with her. Also Shakir Khan, my guru, who's been inspiring me immensely and continues to shape how I approach the instrument and this incredible world of Indian classical music. So come and join us at the Indian Classical Guitar Academy to start this journey. The first 50 subscribers will get a reduced price every month for the whole duration of their membership. So come and be one of the first guitar players to realise what it means to be an Indian classical musician.